best. Again, this star-studded lineup through his run here. One name left to go through. Noblord came out of the group as the winner, and then Bloody.
Really dynamic lineup. He's got a little bit of aggro, a little bit of mid-range, a little bit of control, even some combos. He's got
decided to queue up his Odd Warrior last to try and defeat it, but it still went 0-3. So it is a brutal match. But Dan, I did message Killinallday earlier when I found out that his decider match would be against Bloodyface, and I said, "You got Bloodyface again. It's a rough matchup." And I told him to give me a dank quote, and he said, "Tej, everyone keeps counting me out based on lineups, but I never count myself out, ever." And then he said, "I'm going to do this in all caps."
Okay, I'm gonna do this in all caps. All right, we got a little passion. You made it sound like this was like the most epic speech of all time, like Braveheart or Gladiator status, you know? But you kind of psyched me out there a little bit.
It was. That was a pretty good little quote there.
Well, you know, Bloodyface is his practice partner and friend and teammate. Bloodyface is himself. Noblord already has gone through in the winners match, but as you can see, facing off in round 5 and in the initial matches. I mean, Bloodyface also has to play against Bobbyex and Noblord, Language Hacker, you name it. There's just so many talented players in this list. It's a bloody trail, if you will.
Ooh.
Now, part of the reason why we felt like this matchup is so insanely hard is because Odd Warrior can't put enough pressure. We recognize that not everyone saw the series in round 5 Swiss, so if you're just paying attention to the top 8 and seeing these decider matches of who goes to the championship, Odd Warrior just does not do a good enough job pressuring. Their win condition primarily is through exhausting their opponent of resources and eventually winning out in long fatigue scenarios. Now, Bloodyface, when he's given infinite time, will be able to assemble infinite damage, which is kind of what all of his decks do. He has the Horseman of the Apocalypse. Excuse me, I'm getting a little choked up, TJ. It's so emotional. It's not because of my allergies or that I'm feeling a little sick. Holy Wrath Paladin with the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. We have Quest Priest that has Topsy-Turvy with OTK. They have Quest Rogue, which feels like infinite resources at times.
Yep.
And then Hakar Druid, which we all know inevitably wins long fatigue scenarios.
Now, if Killinallday were to somehow defeat this priest in game 1 with Odd Warrior, then it's a completely different series. But it's just so tough because it's tough for Odd Warrior to mount pressure.
But he's doing a good job of it. I think this this Coppertail Imposter, is that what they call it? The mech, I guess, stealth from Boomsday Project. Potentially a blessing in disguise, even though it's not a very assuming card. It's that you keep it safe from removal, and Killinallday can keep stacking that advantage with Ziliax right now. He can make it a 10 attack minion, and you know there is that Psychic Scream, which is very key for Bloodyface, but there's still a handful of damage that's been dealt, you know, and it delays Bloodyface from getting his quest done. But Killinallday knew this was a very strong possibility, which is why he was thinking about, should I shuffle in, you know, or should I play a little bit slower and be more cautious?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised just to see Big Game Hunter here, because it's the most damage. And the next turn, Faceless Manipulator, the Big Game Hunter, to really get the ball rolling. That's the weird kind of plays you have to make in this matchup. Killin does just not have much
I don't disagree.
power generation.
I don't disagree, TJ. It's also one of those scenarios where, remember during the interview, Ike was telling us how he put King Mukla in his Odd Warrior. It's against lineups like this where it actually seems to give you a fighting chance, because you might be able to time it where they burn a really important card, or you're able to complicate their hand situation because they need to dump things.
Yep.
But, you know, just not having the right tech cards for those control lineups. And yet, despite all that, Killinallday has been able to persevere. So I'm still holding out for a little bit of hope, even though it looks very grim. And this is a very good move here from Bloodyface, just to duplicate his Vivid Nightmare and Topsy-Turvy while being able to complete his quest.
Yep. So now Bloodyface is basically just a few mana and Stone Tuskboar away from completion, and also Death Rattles, but that seems a little bit further away. Dead Ringer will help that.
Well, Killen has... He has the cube. He has a cube Reckless Flurry play, which, I mean, does increase the power on board. Puts his opponent down to 9. That's just outside of any like meaningful range of damage if he has 2 4-attack minions on the board.
I do think that the Owl might be...
yeah, it's probably more important here.
Probably more important here, because the one thing that Killen also needs to make sure he does is slow down quest progress, because there's almost no way he kills Bloody if he completes the quest. 30 health, okay, manageable. 30 plus 40, or however much plus 40, not really manageable for an Odd Warrior to do. So I think Iron Beak Owl is just, what do you do beyond that? And it looks like cute for the pressure and the Iron Beak Owl thrown out there, so... Ooh, Radiant.
Another Radiant Elemental. I mean, pretty much... Oh, wait. He doesn't need Stone Tusk board anymore. He has all the...
Oh, he has a minion on the board, yeah.
Yeah, this should do it, and he has more than enough mana.
Yep.
You only need, I think, 7 mana, because you don't actually need to play Stone Tusk board from hand. And so with 2 Radiant Elementals, 2 Vivid Nightmares, that's it. Wow, what a quick kill. And, I mean, Killen still put a reasonable amount of pressure on. You know, if Bloodyface didn't have the Psychic Scream, this game still gave Odd Warrior a small chance.
Even with Psychic Scream, if Killen was able to clear off the board, there's no way you can ever expect the quest to be completed this quickly. So,
now, real quick, TJ, the caveat to this is that there is a potential hand space issue if Bloodyface doesn't play this carefully. Some people get really careless with how they stack their buffs, and then they lose the last topsy-turvy. But, you know, given that Killinallday is only at 38 and not at some absurd life count where he's in the hundreds, there shouldn't be too much of that worry and concern. I think that was probably the only one thing that Nalguidan was worried about when he played this exact mirror match against Bloodyface.
Yeah.
He looks like he got the combo off, but I think it was probably a little bit too close for comfort.
That was also the look of pretty much every Topsy-Turvy Priest player we've seen on camera after they win a game with Topsy-Turvy Priest.
Wait, whoa, wait, no, whoa.
He got it. And then he just has the Topsy-Turvy.
Okay. I thought he forgot to flip his last his thing, because he wasn't done yet, but he got it. There you go.
Yeah. And that was probably, honestly, as close as Killen's going to get. I think this APM Priest is his best matchup on paper. And you can see why, because if Bloody did not have a Psychic Scream, then Killen was putting on a...
Here from the previous season, this guy also fairly recently decided to go full-time Hearthstone, or just full-time competitive pro player.
Yes.
Like he competes in a lot of other games as well, but you know, Hearthstone, obviously his highest success.
Yeah, and with a berth 30 at the World Championship and a runner-up finish from the previous championship, and now looking like he's going to make to his second one in a row.
Well,
I think that decision's paying off.
Don't call it too early, DJ.
No, I'm not calling it too early. And
you are right that it's very likely that he does.
Yeah.
Each passing game.
Yeah, and I want to sort of paint a picture of this group in general. In the winners match, we had Bloodyface versus Nalguidan, who were both playing the Ultra Control Killer OTK decks, with Nalguidan having a little bit of an edge because he had the Mecha'thun Warlock in place of the Quest Rogue, which ended up being the difference maker. And the other two players in the group, Killinallday and Starfruit, both were Control Warrior players, the Odd Warrior players. So it was just kind of unfortunate, especially considering Nalguidan had the same lineup as Killinallday nearly, that they ended up getting in that group because they were getting preyed upon by those slow combo decks of Bloodyface and Noblord. And that's why they met in that lower bracket match. But, like I said, or like you said, don't count them out just yet, because these on paper are like 80-20 matchups. So there's always that 20%. And Killen got surprisingly close in the last game. And it's possible in this one. Also, Bloodyface is a great technical player, but no player is immune to mistakes.
Yeah, and I mean, Bloodyface did have a couple of games where he looked shakier yesterday than we normally expect him to be. And that's just because of the high standard that he's put for himself and for us. You know, when we saw him play the championship, this guy was picture perfectly. I think he played the best in the fall season, even though he got second. No shame in that. But in terms of playing best, it's more of the consistency of how few mistakes that he tends to make. And even today, there's a couple of like small things that you can debate. Like for example, against Nobbler, did you keep the quest in the mirror when you're playing a topsy-turvy, Ditto essentially? And then that's kind of small stuff that can influence percentages. But overall, his general game plan is usually spot on, even if the small micro decisions tend to be questionable every now and then.
Yeah.
And that's very minute too. Those are things that are not super impactful compared to, say, do you understand what's like the important time? Are you controlling in this position, or are you passing, or are you trying to be even more aggressive? Now that said, Bloodyface has already some of the really important pieces, which is Gadgetzan Auctioneer plus cheap stuff and King Togwaggle. You can see that Bloodyface values the hand space right now, so dumping the Pyromancer isn't really that big of a deal. And now Killen has interesting position where he could even leave up this Wild Pyromancer and make things like the Gadgetzan Auctioneer and a little bit more awkward with how the one damage to all minions interacts with the board.
But that could also put him in a spot where if he expects Gadgetzan Auctioneer turn, then his own board could end up being removed if Bloodyface has the right combination. And then add on top of that the potential for Floop's Glorious Gloop. If that's thrown into a Gadgetzan Auctioneer train, and Bloodyface is able to kill off some minions from Killinallday, then he could draw even more cards. So it is a very dangerous minion to leave up, but at some point Killinallday's got to put on the pressure. Because while this Hakar deck is not a true OTK, it needs a few turns. It snowballs on top of each other turn after turn.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm wondering, if you want to go for maximum stats with the Direhorn Hatchling on the far left, or do you want to go for the cube in case you're trying to anticipate removal?
Yeah.
And he does. I mean, this is the turn where Gadgetzan Auctioneer wants to go off, and Killen removes that, foregoing a little bit of extra damage.
I got the best deals anywhere.
Now Bloodyface has Innervate, he's got Biology Project, and 2 cheap spells to go with it. Pounce.
I mean, almost the entire deck is cheap spells outside of Auctioneers,
More than half.
Togwaggle, Hakar, and maybe a couple of Branching Paths thrown in there for the armor game, but it just makes it so difficult to apply pressure.
Man, he is just going so deep. 6 cards drawn, 7 now, 8 with the Bark Skin. Yeah, before this turn started, Bloody had twice as many cards in his deck.
But Killinallday is at 10 mana himself now also, which means he can put on a little bit more pressure, but how much really is that? He can Iron Beguile the Gadgetzan Auctioneer. There is some merit to potentially holding on to it if Bloodyface messes up somewhere and uses the Innervate and can't kill Hakar and just throws it onto the board. Killen does have 2 Iron Beguile, so maybe by that time he'll have drawn the second one, but Bloodyface is going to cycle through his deck quickly. But you're not dealing with this Gadgetzan Auctioneer, and it's too threatening to leave up, so I think you just have to use it now, because at that point, if they draw more cards and play a card and it doesn't get off, by that time they've probably togged you, and you're in fatigue anyway, and you're probably going to lose because you can't amount pressure and they have cards in your deck. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it's actually fairly important, too, to see if you could dump your hand in preparation for that, so that way you don't give them that easy naturalized situation where they King Togwaggle and then go for the naturalized.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of Odd Warrior players love to squeeze out the value, but having low hand count in those late game scenarios, and yes, even though we're at like turn 7, it is very much a late game scenario with this deck.
So there's an option for overdraw here for Killen, but Bloodyface already has everything that he needs. So it's not really that worth it.
Is there anything that he could burn that would make life more difficult? He already has the Hakar, Innervate, Naturalize, and the King Togwaggle.
Maybe card draw, just so these last 5 cards might be a little bit more difficult.
The problem is the deeper that Bloodyface draws is the worse for Killen.
Yeah.
Maybe maximum board pressure. Like, Killen just says, forget it, you're going to draw cards. You know, cube to cube, play Direhorn Hatchling, and go all out.
Yeah, and that also serves the purpose of emptying hand as much as possible, playing double 5-drop.
Yeah, I like that. I'm just trying to find the maximum pressure possible. And I mean, this is a pretty fearsome board. Let's be honest here. This is probably the most that Odd Warrior's been able to do all event long that I've seen to a slow deck like this. This is 7, 9, 11, 21, 24 damage. A tickle into the Druid's armor. Oh no, with Branching Paths, Killinallday might remove Bloodyface's armor and make him lower than 30 life.
Wow. Neat.
Neat.
I wonder.
Bloodyface does actually have to partition his resources, though, because it's not that... as much as we were joking, like, oh, Druid has a lot of armor, Killinallday can kill him in 2 turns if he just allowed to keep this board. And Pyromancer is pretty important, but Bloodyface already has used his bark skin, so he's not going to be able to get like ridiculous amount of Pyromancer layers into it.
Yeah.
Looks like he's going to gain armor instead. Still on the defender. Is there anything that could be really important here? Now, if I'm Killinallday, I think I want to draw as close as I can to the pack before Bloodyface inevitably switches decks.
Yeah.
The problem is, if you draw too much and focus on your hand size being relevant, then you're just gonna, you know, again, give yourself less turns to kill your opponent because you have the board.
But armor count can be, armor count can be relevant.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's not a true OTK. It takes a little bit of turns to ramp up. There are breakpoints, but the breakpoints are hard to spot because it depends on how many points of fatigue you're taking during each round of shuffle-ins. So if he's not doing anything here, I think taking the shield block actually would be decent. But I guess he has another turn to do it, and he might just damages again.
Yeah. Max damage. Pounce. So Bloodyface should be able to clear off most of this. Although, it's starting to get a little rocky because this is still a lot of sturdiness. I think Killen did an excellent job building up board presence, but it's not enough damage. 15, 20, 26, and Bloodyface is at 33.
Okay.
However...
well, Bloodyface can still draw those corrupted
What
bloods.
if he draws it? I mean, if I'm killing, I'm getting in there with that Super Collider for 1 damage.
I am too. And I'm probably shield blocking as well to try and find that pack before he gets the swap off. Card with the card, so you might as well use it.
Oh, Faceless.
Oh, Faceless,
He had
okay.
that board. If he had that board, it would be pretty nasty.
And swing for 1.
Yeah, nothing quite like a Collider hammer to the face. Bloodyface will have single-digit life. So it is scary, but it's not determined just yet.
Ooh!
That is way too close for comfort.
Almost out of cards.
Is it enough damage, TJ? He didn't deck out.
Well, also he can swap back.
You're right, but I mean, how much damage is he going to get before that point? That's kind of the big question mark.
Cards.
Oh, I think he's got it. I think
He's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's too many shuffled in. The card number count on the bottom of the deck is messing me up a little bit.
He was at 23. He's at 16.
Almost out of cards.
So 32 damage.
Wow. And he had that 1 fatigue. That 2 fatigue damage, rather. Killinallday didn't have enough life. Odd Warrior put too much pressure and not enough defensive tools.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I mean, sure, if Killen was able to squeeze out even more damage by like 3, he would have gotten there too.
Yeah.
It was the perfect sweet spot.
Outcome. of this series. We will see later on at the World Championship, which will happen in April in Taiwan, as was announced when Dan and I were over in Taiwan casting the All-Stars event. And I also, both these players championship also joined Viper and Bunny Hopper. So,
Right, yeah.
because of that, any player that hasn't already qualified for the World Championship that goes to the Winter Championship
True.
has a higher chance of making it through.
3 spots.
3 spots.
At least. I mean, Asia Pacific is next week. What if, Blood Trail again qualifies?
Which also
Tyler goes through,
Which also makes Winter Championship more exciting because it means that if a few of the players that have already qualified for Worlds make it to the top 4, in order to get those 4 world spots, we have to play a playoff.
Ooh, are we going to show that?
Between 5th through 8th. I don't know.
We should.
But regardless, it's cool. I'll volunteer for it.
I'll volunteer too, TJ.
Even if it's just me with a camera casting over their shoulders from a distance, zoomed in as far as I can,
Yeah.
I'll do everything I can to
Yeah.
make that happen. Yeah! Get him!
We could have our own Hearthstone championship tour, TJ. With blackjack and no hunters.
That sounds like a wonderful place.
That was the very family-friendly version.
Yes, I was frightened for a moment. I was like, I'm gonna have to take up Dan's mouth and carry him off the stage that way, but not in a cool way, in a very not cool way.
Well, Killinallday center back on this game here. He does have this Shadow Reaper Anduin in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Decided to pivot a little bit, by the way, just for reference. This is his clone priest. I haven't seen Killen really play any other deck besides Odd Warrior on stream.
No.
So I'm like, what other decks does he have? He has clone priest. He's got mid-range hunter. And we define mid-range hunter by whether or not they have secrets and spellstones. So it's pretty much like secret hunter, but minus the secret package.
Yes.
aka mid-range hunter. And then odd rogue, which was banned.
But this matchup's much better.
Oh yeah.
Much better. And like I said, this is in their off-stream initial match for this group. They played this series in almost the exact same way, where Bloodyface went up 2-0 against Control Warrior. Killinallday decided to take a break from the Control Warrior, queue up his other decks, beat the Holy Wrath, the OTK Paladin twice, and then game 5 was the Holy Wrath Paladin versus Killinallday's Warrior, and Bloodyface took it. So we could be seeing a very similar results in that, but if that's the case, then I'm excited for game number 5 because I want some crazy stuff to happen. But first off, Killinallday's got to get there.
Yeah.
And it's a better match than the Control Warrior, but
Well,
it's not easy.
TJ, the reason why I'm scared is because Bloodyface already has all of his late game stuff that he really wants. He's got Shrivala, Baleful Banker, and Holy Wrath, so he can set up the 25 damage. He has Uther, so as long as Killinallday can, if he doesn't get enough to really assemble anything meaningful damage, then Bloodyface already has that set up, and he's already so far deep into his deck with more call draw. He's got Novice Engineer and Potion of Heroism. Now, that being said, Killen did just pick up Shadow Visions. So Shadow Visions can be a really important card to pick up Spellstone or Eternal Servitude or something else. Just maybe Xeric's Cloning Gallery itself. Bloodyface is going to remove with his face.
Yep, he'll be able to go down to 27 or 23, but then heal back down up to 25.
Jay, Bloodyface already has double youth for Brewmaster as well.
Yeah.
So if he runs out of card draw, he can just play the bouncing game.
Which is likely to... Well, no, against Priest. Sorry, I was still in the Control Warrior mindset. Against Control Warrior, you almost always have to go for the OTK with Uther as opposed to the Holy Wrath. But it's going to become more and more likely that he gets it, especially with Shadow Brandon played. It means that this life total is pretty static outside of Spirit Lash.
Yeah, but that heal is not irrelevant for the Crystal Smith Kangor. That is a high priority removal because Bloodyface also just drew Flash of Light. So now he has Uther of the Ebon Blade and Flash of Light to gain back 18 life if Killinallday is not careful. So he has to kill that off for starters.
Yes.
Ooh, Eternal Servitude. Not many minions have died. We have a Gilded Gargoyle, we have a Radiant, we have Prophet Valen.
Is there a way that he can win?
Well, not with just Mind Blast and Holy Smite.
Well, you have to think, once he brings back Prophet Velen, he also gets to weave in the hero powers, which deal 4.
Okay, so Mind Blast does 10 and Holy Smite does 4.
And then you weave in 3, you need to weave in 3 hero powers. So we chip off the armor this turn and finds a Mind Blast with the Shadow Visions. Ooh, okay.
Well, the Spellstone is interesting too because he already has some pretty good pieces in the pool already with the Prophet Valen. The Cloning Gallery is also very interesting too because, well, with Cloning Gallery you might just pull Malagos and do some really silly things too. This is starting to fire up. I don't know what's going to happen. Is Bloodyface even scared enough to pull the trigger on timeout early?
Yeah, so Killinallday's minions that he has left in his deck: Malagos, the Lich King, Ziliax, Lyra, Gilded Gargoyle, 1 copy, and 1 Radiant Elemental.
7
Was
minions.
That's 6.
That's 6 minions.
6 minions. So he knows the outcome of Zarek's Cloning Gallery. He will have a Malagos and 1 Radiant Elemental. He has 2 coins.
Oh!
Yeah, that's... Yep.
Wow, that is Omega yikes, TJ. That is very bad news for Killinallday. That's kind of what this deck is, though. You got to roll with the punches. It is very dependent on what's in your deck versus what's in your hand. Let's do some science.
Going for Lyra magic.
Find him. It's another roll. Twilight's Call summons back the Gilded Gargoyles. Multiple Twilight's Call. Actually, that's decently useful because of the coins. Fastest spell. Death Coil, perhaps? Okay, Death and Decay.
Okay.
Reasonable. The thing is, though, Bloodyface can... Well, he can deal with this board. He has Pyromancer, but he had Consecration before that. And he also can just get another Horseman now.
Azeroth will be purified.
And there, that's a unique Horseman.
Yep. So 1 Horseman away, plus a bounce effect of some sort, which Baleful Banker serves, but it could be on a delay.
Yes.
And now Killinallday does not have the Radiant in hand, so can't make crazy double Radiant plays. So has 1 in deck, so this Xerix will pull 1. Doesn't also get the value of the 2nd Gilded Gargoyle because his hand was full, and he will burn a card. I don't know if that really matters. Ew.
This is not looking good. I don't even know if Killinallday can get back to his Odd Warrior to try again. I mean, just look at the beatdown alone, TJ.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even necessarily Bloodyface killing him with some Horseman Apocalypse. He's killing him with pandas.
Darkness speaks to me.
Just getting slapped around by the Pandaren. Well, and Death Knight weapons, but it's like how I think Bloodyface has hit for like 18 to the face. Oh no, he hit Prophet Valen once with the weapon, but like that's how much damage he generates.
He's the aggressor in this matchup.
He beat him down with 2 swings of the 5 attack.
He doesn't even
He
doesn't even need the OTK.
Yeah.
Oh man. This is silly X. Maybe Gilded Gargoyle to try and do something fancy.
It's probably Radiant, actually, in this position.
Yeah, but what?
He's that desperate. This, Death and Decay, Hero Power.
and chip off the last piece of armor, but I don't know. Now that he doesn't have Eternal Servitude, he can't find a crazy lethal if he draws Holy Smite into Mind Blast.
He could Zarek's Cloning Gallery again for Lyra Miracles, but, you know, with that Zola draw.
Just needs the one last unique horseman.
The time has come.
Nailed
Bloodyface is
it.
going to the Winter Championship, TJ. That is the third horseman.
Has the timeout as well. Just double checking, triple checking. Yep, that's 3 of them. Timeout played. Unless Killinallday can find Uther and get all 4 horsemen himself by some miracle, which isn't possible, even with Lyra and million Radiant Elementals.
No, it's the immunity. The immunity is too much.
He might as well just have fun one last time.
Sure. Lyra comes out again. Circle of Healing. We'll play out this song and dance, but with the immunity to the hero, there's nothing he can do to win right now. He only can have hand disruption. I mean, he's having a lot of fun.
There's nothing more fun than arms.
Oh no. A valiant effort by Killinallday, who has gotten this far once again, but I think it is fitting, TJ, that he has a reputation for always being one standing off from where he wants to be to advance to the next stage. In the meantime, we have yet another player from Americas who is going to a consecutive championship appearance. Bloodyface will be joining us in Los Angeles for the Winter Championship.
That's